Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting video on Snowflake technology. Today we will look at setting up SnowPipe on Azure's infrastructure to ingest continuous data into Snowflake. In this video, we will take a look at an overview of SnowPipe. Next we will look at the architecture of the components of how to build the SnowPipe on Azure's infrastructure. And then we will head straight into demo. As part of the demo, we will look at how do we prepare the source data and then the destination table setup on Snowflake. After that, we will set up everything on Azure. Then we will head back to Snowflake and create the stage and pipe. And then we will ingest the data. At the end, we will also look at some considerations related to SnowPipe and conclude the video. Let's begin. In my previous SnowPipe on AWS video, I discussed about SnowPipe in detail. And today we are going to look at Azure's version of the same SnowPipe with auto ingest feature. If you're going to use SnowPipe on Azure with API or manually ingest the files, or if you'd like to implement the SnowPipe using command line interface and PowerShell, please follow the instructions on this page. I'll provide the link in the description of this video. This page explains about both using APIs as well as command line interface or PowerShell interface to create all these services of Azure. But in our current video, we will look at configuring Azure services to facilitate building a data pipeline to auto ingest files from Azure storage into Snowflake's table. Let's get started. This architecture diagram does not represent any application but merely suggests all the services and how they are interconnected for the benefit of this demonstration. On the left side, we have Azure's infrastructure and we are tracking every resource by tagging them to a resource group we are going to create. We then create a storage account inside the resource group. And inside this storage account, we create a blob storage container and a queue that fires an event when a file is loaded into storage. We connect this event grid to a Snowflake staging area. This stage area is connected to SnowPipe, which in turn spins up a virtual warehouse and ingests the data into Snowflake. We also have Enterprise Application Authenticator that connects Azure's Active Directory and IAM to authenticate and allow usage of Azure's storage services and connects it to our Snowflake account. We will also be uploading a CSV file straight into Azure's blob storage. When we connect all these resources and configure them appropriately, as soon as a CSV file is dropped into blob storage, Event Grid triggers an event and lets the stage know that there is a new file created, and SnowPipe ingests that into destination table, ingests it into your destination table utilizing scalable SnowPipe virtual warehouse, and keeps it alive only for the duration of the file ingestion. Essentially, once all this is built, we will have a fully scalable serverless data pipeline built between Azure storage and your destination Snowflake table. Our source system has 5 different files with the banking data in them. So it has transaction number, the transaction date and time, from account and to account numbers, amount of the transaction, the type of the transaction, description, and the source of this transaction. So all this data is random, and I have 5 such files that I will upload one by one during the demonstration. Let's look at the destination. So I'm going to create a table called bank transactions that has transaction number, date, time, from account to account, amount, type of transaction, description of the transaction, and source of the transaction, just like the data we saw. I'll also insert one record just to test that we are able to insert the records as needed. And only transformation I have is to convert this string into date. Alright, so we have our source and destination ready. Let's configure everything else. That includes Azure's side of services and Snowflake side of setup, such as stage and SnowPipe. Let's get started and sign into Azure portal. To begin with, I'll create a new resource group so that I can keep track of billing as well as resource utilization separately. Click on Add. I name it as Snowflake. Azure SnowPipe. I'll leave it in US East and go ahead and create it. If you have an existing one, you can just reuse the existing resource group as needed. Next, I go into this SnowPipe. I add a new storage account resource. All right, let's say create. It has pre-populated the resource group. I would like to name this as, and I'll leave this one also in East region and standard. I don't need a premium one. Account, this is important. You need to have storage v2 or higher. I'll leave replication as default and I go ahead and create it. Alright, so our storage account is created and it's ready for usage. Go to the resource. We need a container to stage the files that will be loaded by Snowflake. Let's do that. I click on new container, give it a name, and I'll keep it private. Now we need to create a storage queue as endpoint of the event subscription. So let's do that. I'll go back to the storage account, go to queues, click on a new queue, and I name it as now we need to create the event grid subscription for blob container and set the endpoint to the storage queue. I'll navigate back to storage account and then go to containers and then navigate to events and click on event subscription. I give it a name. Event schema, I'll select event grid schema itself, and topic details, I'll leave them default. Event types, it has already selected 2 of them by default. I'll remove deleted blob so that we get the events triggered only when a new file is added. And for endpoint creation, I'll choose storage queues, and after that I need to select endpoint. So I'll choose pay as you go, select a storage account. I need to choose SnowPipe that we created. I need to select my storage queue. I confirm the selection and then I say create. Topic name, I'll give it as same as Snowflake SnowPipe. Create. Great, let's move back to our account. Now the next step is we have to create an integration in Snowflake. For that we need to get storage queue URL and Azure Active Directory ID. So let's get them. I go to queues. I have the URL here. So I record it in a document and I need Azure Active Directory ID. For that I need to go to Home, Active Directory, and I can either get it from properties or it's also available here. I'll just copy it. Let's see that. So this is the tenant ID. It's also called directory ID. Copy it and paste it. Now let's switch to Snowflake and create the notification integration. In order to create the notification integration, I type create notification integration and give it a name. Let's keep it capital. I want it to be enabled by default. Type as queue. Notification provider is Azure Storage Queue. Azure Storage Queue primary URI should be your notification URI or the storage notification queue URL. Copy that and paste it here. That should be in a single quote. Azure tenant ID should be the ID I have here. That's it, and let's run this. Let's switch the role to account admin. We should be able to create the notification, run it. Let's check the integrations. So our integration is created here. Now Snowflake knows that this integration is for Azure and where will it get the event notifications. But we need Azure also to authenticate our Snowflake account one time. So let's see how to do that. I say describe notification integration and my integration name. In this results, I have Azure consent URL is one of the property here. So let me get that. So this will establish a protocol between my Azure account and my Snowflake account. So let me click on this. Gives me a URL. I close it. I open it in a new window. And then consent on behalf of my organization. Accept. So now we are authenticated. Let's close this and let's switch back to Azure. We have some more work there. Now we need to grant Snowflake with the access to storage queue. In order to do that, let's first get the Snowflake application details. I go to Enterprise Applications and this is the one I just authenticated. I go to that and copy the name. Let me record it again here. Let's grant Snowflake access to storage queue. For that I go to storage account, access control IAM, go to role assignment, click on add role assignment. Alright, I select the role as I want to give the restricted access to the storage. Then let's search our Snowflake application, select that. With this role assignment, we are granting Snowflake the permission to be a data contributor to storage, or in other words, access to storage queue. So go ahead and save it. Now the next step is we need to create Snowflake stage. For that we will need two pieces of information. One is a blob service endpoint and the other one is shared access signatures connection string that we need to generate. Let's get them. To get the storage blob service endpoint, I go to the storage account and then go to properties and copy this primary blob service endpoint. So next I need to create shared access signature or SAS connection string. So let's go to shared access signature here. And I leave most of these default, but I can take out these delete events and update process events. And the expiry of this access will be, maybe let's do it tomorrow. By the time you guys check this video, the access should be removed. And then central time and allowed IP address, I'll leave it default. Let it authenticate everyone. I want to allow only HTTPS related protocol, and signing key will be key 1, the default, and I generate it. If I scroll down, this blob service SAS URL is the important one that I'll need to create the stage. I'll copy this URL. Now I switch back to Snowflake and paste this command. The syntax for creating a stage is create or replace stage and stage name, URL and a credential. So now the URL has my blob storage name and then the blob name, and also it starts with Azure prefix and not HTTPS. Okay, you just need to construct it as needed. And the blob service URL we had copied was this. You need to remove this HTTPS all the way till this slash. So only question mark onwards should remain in this SAS token. Okay, let's go ahead and create this. Our stage is successfully created. Now I can check the files that are waiting in the stage area. So for that I can say ls @ and the stage name. That's good. Let's proceed on to create the SnowPipe. So the statement for creating a SnowPipe is create or replace pipe. I've given bank transactions pipe in this case. Auto ingest is true. So this statement means that the SnowPipe will automatically ingest the files into Snowflake as soon as they arrive in staging area. We need to provide the integration name. I'll copy it from here. Banking SnowPipe event. So that's my integration name. As copy into the table name stage.bank transactions. That is our table name. Bank transaction stage that we just created. And the file format is CSV file. So let's create this. Now this is created, but there is one problem. Notice that I did not mention the date time related transformation. Let's see what happens. I'm pretty sure it will result in error. Now if I go back to the table and see a select star, it should still be empty, or it has only one record that we manually inserted. So let me truncate that. So it is empty. Okay, so if I come back and now we saw that the stage had one file, but notice that it did not flow into our SnowPipe and eventually into our table. That is because the file was already existing in the stage. If we want to pull that in, we need to refresh the pipe. So to do that, alter pipe in this one and refresh. That should load the file if there are no errors. Okay, so it sent. So let's see if it could get in all the records. No records. I can check the details of errors that I got on this SnowPipe by running this query. So I say select star from table information schema.copy history. This is the table that stores all sorts of errors, and I give it a table name as bank transactions and errors of last 1 hour. So I got 2 errors so far. So I also uploaded bank data 2, and the first time it errored out with timestamp related error, and the second one has numeric value transaction number not recognized. Okay, so this is related to the header. It has additional header that I have to remove, and in the first one it is the timestamp conversion that I already mentioned. So let's fix both of them. In order to fix the timestamp related error, I need to do a quick data transformation and pass through for rest of the columns. Let's do that. Let's introduce the transformation. Before that, let me comment this out. I paste this command. So here it's just a modified version of the same pipe in which I have the transformation. So copy into the same table, and I mentioned all the column names from select the columns, and then I have transformation here from the stage name. I run this. Okay, so this is created. When I refresh this, as I mentioned, let me show you the data so that you are super clear about why is it throwing error. I go to data. So in bank data 1, so the first error was because of the transformation. Second error was for the column header. So you can see here there is no column header here. The data first row is the data itself. Whereas bank data 2 has transaction number, date, time. This is a column header. So there we go. So save it. Go back. Take the next one. Alright, so I removed the column header from all of them. If I refresh the pipe, it should reload the data from the stage. But we already have 2 files in the stage. Just remove the file from the stage. So I can do it in multiple ways, but easiest one is delete it off. I come back and check my stage. It should be empty. And if I refresh, nothing should happen. And then if I go back and check my table, that should also be empty still. Yeah. So now if I upload a file, the first one, it should start uploading our data through the SnowPipe. So let's do that. It should transform the date and also should not have any more issues. I have also cleaned up the data, so it should all be good. So I uploaded it. I come back to Snowflake, run this. It has still not loaded it. Try it again. There you have. We have the 10 records that we uploaded. It almost took a minute or so to load the data, but we have the data flowing in. Now, if I'll upload another file, it should be loading the second set of data to blob storage and upload a different set of file. Okay, so this is data file 4. If I come back, okay, there we have the data related to the second file also is loaded. It takes about 1 minute or so to load the data from the blob storage. So you have to keep this in mind. It's not going to be real-time data that's flowing in through this SnowPipe. It will take about a minute. Great, so that concludes the demo. Let's look at some additional considerations while creating the SnowPipe. In order to create integrations to Azure, you need to either have create integration role or account admin role. Snowflake limits the number of storage queues that can be used to collect SnowPipe event messages to only 10. So ideally there should be less number of storage queues that are triggering SnowPipe data ingest events. Regarding transformations, this applies to everything in Snowflake. You cannot do extended transformations such as grouping the data and all that while loading the data into either SnowPipe or the regular copy into statement. Ideally, you should load the data as is into a staging environment and either run a transformation to aggregate the data or create views on top of it to have your aggregated data. You can also create materialized views if it makes sense. There are additional considerations for that. Well, that's it for this video on SnowPipe on Azure. You can connect with me on social media using WhatsApp, Twitter, LinkedIn, and GitHub. I'll post all the source code that I used in this video on my GitHub link. If you have any questions on SnowPipe on Azure, feel free to comment it out on this video. I would love to help you out. Thank you.